to the Feed You podcast, giving you the real scoop on raising your business to new heights. Expert education, inspiration, and motivation to fuel your purpose, your passion, and your profits. Here's your host, Elisa Connor.
Hello. Welcome to the Feed You podcast. I'm Elisa Connor. I'm your host, and today we have a very special guest on the show. We don't usually have a lot of interviews on the show, but when I run across somebody in my travels or experience that I think is going to be a benefit to you, I like to bring them on the show. And so today I have Rico Racosky on the show. He's delightful. You're going to enjoy his sense of humor and his personality. But more importantly, he answers the age-old question of how do you move forward in your business with your decision making. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, we struggle with moving forward and have a really hard time just, taking that one little step. And so he has a methodology he's going to share in the interview that helps you make those decisions by breaking things down to just two choices. So here's a little bit about Rico. Rico is a fiery blend of fighter pilot, airline pilot, international best-selling author, speaker, graphic designer, inventor, and Just Two Choices radio show co-host. He had a early beginning and was passionate about not only aeronautics but also for art, and so he uses a lot of visuals to get his message across and to teach this methodology to people. And it actually was initiated, he told me in our interview prior, by going and speaking to some high school students about how to achieve their dreams. And he put together this methodology that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes for them, and realized there were so many other people that needed this. And where it was based was when he was faced with making a decision right after high school of whether to attend college to pursue a graphic design and commercial art degree or go towards his real goal of aviation. He applied to both, did not get accepted for aviation at his chosen school, so he was all ready to go to art school, and then he just made that quick shift mentally that he really wanted to go to aviation school. Within 24 hours of making that shift, he was offered the opportunity to go to flight school, and he had to make the decision right then and there. So he chased his dream. The rest is history. So I'm so grateful to have him on the show. Please give a warm welcome to Rico Racosky, and let's dive into the interview. Welcome to the Feed You podcast. I am so grateful to have Rico Racosky in studio. It's been a while since we've done an interview, and when I was introduced to him, was so excited about his program and wanted to bring it to you guys. So help me welcome to the show, Rico Racosky. How are you doing, Rico?
Lisa, doing fabulous. I'm honored and blessed that you are having me on the show. I really am. Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful you're here, and I'm so excited about what we're going to talk about. Before we dive into that, though, I'd love for you to give my audience a little bit of info about your background and what led you to create the Two Choices system.
Well, the Just Two Choices system is really the fallout it goes all the way back to high school, of a curiosity that I've had about why people are successful. I know it probably sounds kind of strange that at an early age you're sitting in high school looking from the back of the classroom, looking toward the front, and all the people who are doing and excelling. And I say this with zero jealousy. It's pure curiosity. It's the kind of person I am about stuff. Ask my mom. And so I was curious, like, what is it that's different about them? I'm working really hard in school, trying to keep my grades up, and I have dreams too. And it seems like it's so much easier for other people, and they're being successful in sports and academics and other things. So I was always kind of curious about that. And then as I kind of fumbled my way through stepping into my dream, which was, I had two dreams, actually, one to be going to art school and one to be a pilot. And fumbling my way through that and stepping into the aviation side is what led to the answer. Because in aviation, as it turns out, in every moment you're making hundreds and hundreds of decisions during a high performance aspect of a plane flying. And there are just two choices kinds of decisions. Am I going too fast or too slow? Do I need to change my altitude? Do I need to go lower? Is it too bumpy? Is it not? Is it kind of continue to fly up here, because I fly commercially for Southwest Airlines, and as well as flying fighters for the military. So you're always going through this performance analysis it's just a just two choices process. And it all starts with, well, do I take off or not? Do we, and once you get airborne, landings are mandatory. So that's kind of how it evolved. And I was asked one day to speak at schools, and the short version is some kids were asking me about goals and dreams and how you make them come true. And of course, I was talking to a high school shop class. So I sat back and I could relate to the questions they were asking me. And I said, really, they're just two choices. This is how it works. And that kind of led to refining the process for kids. So not only did I learn it from aviation, but I was able to apply it to working with children. So that's kind of the background.
That is awesome. And one of the reasons that I was so excited about having you on the show is that my audience is filled with small business owners and entrepreneurs. And we get really stuck in our heads. Like, we don't know how to move forward. And we're like, oh, we have all these really great goals. But then we just sit there and we process it and think about it and process it. And we never make a decision. And so I really wanted you to share with them a way that, to really simplify those decisions to it's either yes or it's no. And so when you've got all these things going on and you're, for example, taking a minute to really look at, okay, this is where I want to be in 3 years. How do you come to a decision when it seems like it's so complicated? Like, you've got to hire all these people and you've got to have, the money to be able to hire them, and you've got to create an office environment to bring them into, and you've got to have the social media set up, and there's like all these components to growth. But really, how do we simplify that down to just two choices? Where do you start in that decision-making process?
Well, that's a great question, because the thought that comes to mind to me immediately is that I wake up in the morning, virtually every morning, and you give it a couple of minutes and you're back in your reality, and you're back in the overwhelm, you're back in the frustration for the very things you're talking about. I mean, I'm starting a business, just getting going too, and I've got a lot of those kind of choices as well. But for me, the beauty of just two choices is that I remind myself, as I start to feel that frustration, overwhelm, I got this huge global vision of taking just two choices global and helping people to simplify their lives. But it all comes down to, in the moment, right here, right now, the step that's in front of me. And so I take that giant elephant that you're about to eat, and I just bring it back to, okay, right now I can be frustrated, or I can take a small step that's going to relieve my frustration. And usually within about 2 minutes, I start to laugh, because I start to go, okay, it's all just two choices. What I need to do right now is just to give myself an appreciation for where I am. Look at all I get to do today. Not that I have to do, but look at all I get to do today, and get myself stabilized. So to me, that's kind of where the question comes to me, which is getting myself stabilized from this overwhelm of this big dream and all these things I want to do over the next 3 years, and get myself to get my choices immediate, right here, right now, today, in the present moment. I don't know if that helps, but the just two choices process is a visual process. So if you take your hand and you hold up the peace sign, and then if you rotate it 90 degrees so that your index finger is kind of pointing up and your middle finger is pointing down, with your index finger point up is your choice one, and with your middle finger point down is choice two, and the pivot point right there between the two fingers is the choice point. We're always at that choice point. So I say to myself, I have just two choices. Am I going to uplift myself, because I'm the only one who can choose to do that? Or am I going to make a choice that's going to take me back further down into the frustration? And it sounds kind of Pollyanna. It sounds kind of unrealistic. It sounds kind of overly simplified. Yet, when you think about it, what's my other choice? We could spend 45 minutes talking about being frustrated. I mean, in your own head, which a lot of us do. We walk around our rooms in circles and go, "Oh, how am I going to do this?" When really we have the just two choices to say, I'm going to take one small step in this positive direction today. So that's how I do it. I don't know if I hope that helps.
It does. So something that popped into my head when you were describing that is I think, okay, so people get in this mindset. They're like, okay, well, I'm going to choose choice A, but what if it's the wrong choice?
I don't believe in wrong choices. I think of it this way. Make a choice that's new and better, even if it's a small choice. Now, some choices that are new and better are going to rocket ship you to the top. You might have a contact that just says, I love what you're doing. Let's implement it in my business, and it's a multi-million-dollar business. And then you'll have other choices that are, well, did I make the phone? Do I make that phone call? I'm scared to make the phone call to contact the person who has this multi-million-dollar business. Or as it's talked about with Pete and Pat, are you dating Sam? Are you choosing to make that choice today? Say, I'm gonna choose to date Sam today with one phone call, or am I gonna fall back into my choice two pattern, the other direction, and rearrange the spice rack in my kitchen for 4 hours? You know what I mean? So it's all just two choices. I hope that helps. I mean, it's and so you're never. My approach to it is. When people say it sounds kind of Pollyanna, it's simplistic, and I don't take it as a judgment. I say, well, what's your other choice? Because next week we're going to have the same conversation. You're going to tell me you're frustrated because you're not able to get your feet on the ground to do something, and I'm going to say, well, what choice did you make? You're here because of the choice that you made. And so I look at being stuck as you're only stuck once. Because if you're able to say you're stuck, then your awareness is where you are. And so why would you want to be stuck twice? Why would you want to be stuck 3 times? Why would you want to make that choice that's going down, it's going in a downward direction, as I talked about with your fingers being, parallel or to the 90 degrees? You always want to make a new and better choice.
Right. So one of the things that I talk about a lot on this show is, and I think it relates to what you're talking about, but you have to have 100% responsibility for yourself, for your actions, and for your words or lack of action. And so what would you say to people, like when they're in that two choice mode, what would your advice be to them about the responsibility component of this? Like a lot of people are not used to taking responsibility for their own lives and their own actions and the words they say. And so what's a step that they could take in that direction so they really realize that those two choices in any given moment are their only option? But along with that comes a responsibility for that choice.
I see it as, and this helps me, I use the word ownership. I got to own it. I ate candy last night. I put on 600 calories. I own it. I did it. And I'm still on the trajectory of losing weight. I've lost 15, but it's one of these things where I looked at when I went to the store and it was on sale, I allowed it to throw me over the top, and I chose to buy the 600 calories, as it turned out after I read the package, to eat the 600 calories. And so I ate it, and I own that I'm going to make the choice to do something to improve and make a new and better choice. Then I also remind myself, the other choice was the 1,200 calories of a pint of triple chocolate ice cream. And I walked right past that, and I allowed myself, and I looked at it, and I did not make that choice. I had just two choices, that particular case. So the word I use for myself, to me, that takes the pressure off it is own. And I think that's the difference between working with children and working with adults. When I show the just two choices visual, which there's a free download that I'll talk about, later in the show, but when I show you what every choice looks like, this diagram that I'm showing that you'll be able to download is the same thing I teach elementary school kids how to use just two choices with. It's just the difference between adults and elementary school children is elementary school kids go, you're right, I get it. I didn't study. And you're a mom, you know that. I mean, they know, but when they see it on a diagram, when you're up there in front of the 4th and 5th graders, and I've done it with all kids from all walks of life, suburban, rural, inner city, Native American reservations, with the Sioux, the Cherokee, Navajo, and I've been out on all those. And, the kids get it. But the adults want to use their just two choices to argue, well, I don't think there's just two choices. so I think that ties into the ownership part. Kids own it. They know at that early age their filters aren't up yet. And then as adult, you're choosing to put excuses in front of you of why you're not going to own it. But when you look at the diagram, just two choices. We're always there, and we've been there our whole lives at every moment in time. Because to get a little woo-woo, there only is the present moment, right? There's no future. I mean, the future is based on what you choose right now. And now I'm in the future that I just talked about 2 seconds ago. And if you choose to bring your past into the future, if it's a good thing, that's nice. But if it's something that's been challenging from growing up years, and you choose to continue to perpetuate that, as I've been through those kind of things, and my family members have been through that. And you create your reality by choice. Choice is the bottom line fabric to all things that exist. Now I'm getting woo. Sorry, I'll step out of that. But
no, we love woo on this show. You jump right into woo as much as you want. So something that came up, I think you're right. Like, kids get this at a integral level because they haven't, I don't want to say been warped by experience, but kind of they haven't been as warped by as many experiences yet. But I think it's so simple that it's hard. And so, going back to your story of flying an airplane, if you put me in the cockpit and you're like, okay, we're going to control this and passenger comfort, and we're going to have to do landing and takeoff, and we're going to have to keep so that it's not bumpy, and all these different things, I'd be like, whoa, that is 25 things that I have to choose, and that's not two choices. So how do you break it down to just those two? How do you get to the two choices in any given moment?
I that's a great question, because I believe that multitasking, as people think, it's a myth. Because really, all that exists, okay, we're going to go woo-woo here. All that exists is everything exists because of where you choose to put your attention. And so in the cockpit, you're flying along, like you talked about. You're looking at weather. You're considering the bumps. You see, some storm clouds up ahead. You're getting close to your destination. You have to have passengers seated. You got to clean up the cabin. There might be other issues that are going on. That you're trying to coordinate all that. The thing is, you just rapidly go just two choices. What's most important? Weather. Okay, weather. I check in on the weather right away. All right. We're doing fine on weather. We don't need to go left or right now. I know I have 5 minutes before, and in that 5 minutes, I can contact, talking airlines now, I can contact our headquarters in Dallas, the people who are handling operations. I can take care of that, move that off the plate. Next, my fuel's good. Okay, I'm not going to have to worry about my gas. I'm going to land at the destination with plenty of gas. Weather's good at the destination. What's my next thing? The engines are running good. Okay, but you're doing that. It's a just two choices process. It can't be anything else, because you can't do all 25 at once. All 25 at once would be one choice, and the other is not to do 25 things at once. And so life is this, what I call a seamless, woo-woo here, it's a seamless sequence. We're just not aware of that sequence. And so that's the beauty of knowing what a choice looks like from this free PDF download. That if you go to justtwochoices.com/radio, you can download it. And you'll see what the just two choices diagram looks like. And that's where everybody is at every moment in time. And so it's not multitasking of 25 things. It's where your attention goes in a rapid rate. And you already do that as a mom, right? When you're out with your kids and you're driving somewhere, or you're putting dinner together for your family, it's just two choices all the way through, right?
Right.
I mean, go ahead and share with me your thoughts on that as a mom.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's just not flying an airplane.
And I think, so what came to me is that, yes, we're constantly making those choices, whether we're aware of it or not. And so, but we have a tendency to tune out to the awareness. We're not aware that we're making choices, even in our business. So as a business owner, even just creating this podcast, I know, okay, I had 3 things to do before I got here, but it was choices between that, this, that, whatever. And then, there's a choice for, okay, are we going to do this via Zoom, or are we going to do this via phone call? Are we going to, all the different things? But we don't, I think as adults, we're so used to just putting all of the choices into one bucket that we're not aware that there really are only two. So what advice would you give to somebody that to bring their awareness to a higher level so that they really can tap into, okay, this really is only two choices. This isn't like rocket science. It's not as hard as my brain is making it.
Yeah, I would, my advice is there would be one phrase that I would recommend that if you did it within, and you're consistent with it in less than 10 minutes, you'd have your solution. In probably 5 minutes. But the thing is, you've got to say the phrase. The phrase is just 3 words. I choose to. I choose to look at you. I choose to look now at the microphone. I choose to say what I'm saying. I choose to now look up at the ceiling here in my house that I'm in. The minute you start to, because now you're going to realize how many choices you're making. Oh, I choose to think that your outfit, you have a very nice black outfit on. I've got a blue shirt. I notice I'm talking about where I'm choosing to put my attention. You see, that's the fascinating thing about the beauty of simplicity, is that the universe puts this whole thing together in a seamless way. And it's only now that we're able to understand the seamless method of it because our computers reflect exactly what our brain does now. Claude Shannon in 1932 figured out that you can use just 2 digits, a 0 and a 1, on and off, in order to create switching of electrical circuits to make computers, make machines think. It's a perfect reflection of exactly what's going on. So what man has come to discover with computers and using the binary system of just 2 choices, of just 2 digits, a 0 and 1, is a model that we're talking on right now, is a model that reflects exactly what humans have been doing for as long as humans have been on the planet. And not only that, it's exactly what atoms and molecules are doing in every minute. Boron has 5 electrons. Carbon has 6. Why is it called boron and the other one's called carbon? Because something's making a choice somewhere that says, if we're going to have carbon, we need to have a 6th electron. And then if you're going to have nitrogen, you need to have a 7th electron. If you're going to have oxygen, you need to have 8. Something's making a choice that differentiates something from something else. And so that being said, on the big woo side, we've been doing this all our lives. It's nothing new. We just haven't been aware of it. And could I add one thing?
Sure.
I've gone on for a minute or so, a couple minutes. The thing I'd like to add is I think that's the whole new era in. We are in the era of what I call the choice revolution. You see, prior to this, you had Napoleon Hill and Dale Carnegie and Norman Vincent Peale in the 1930s doing this wonderful, powerful thing called take positive action. They initiated that whole take positive action era. To say make positive choices in 1932 was too giant of a leap for mankind. I mean, you probably know Norman Vincent Peale, he got shunned by the professional psychiatrists and psychologists because he said, oh, you're going to create a lot of problems with people making their own choices about being positive. That was in 1952. But we've built this enormous era, what I call the take positive action era. And now we're ready for, what is positive action? It's just 2 choices. I either take positive action or I don't, right? So now we're in the choice era, but we're walking on the shoulders of giants, of people in the industry, Pete and Pat and Grant Cardone and Dean and Tony and all those Zig Ziglar and all those people who built this massive take positive action industry. But now we're taking it to the next level because it's choices right here. It's right in our hands and our phones. It's in our heads, and now we're being raised to that awareness of, wow, I choose to. So if you just say the phrase, I choose to, for just a little bit, you're going to find out it's all a choice. Life is 100% choice.
Well, and not getting stuck in the choosing mode. Like just make a choice and move forward, and then make another choice and move forward, and then make another choice and move forward. And I think a lot of us were raised,
Good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
With the mentality of one, you either don't have the option to make choices, they were taken away from you, or you were raised to believe that the choices you made were not going to be approved of or the correct choices. And so to break those disbeliefs and those habits takes some work, obviously, because they're programmed in. And so when you work with people, or you're training people in this area that are not kids, because kids are very programmable, they're younger and they don't have all of those, they have some components of being, modeled after their parents, but after years, after year, after year, after year, your programming is very different. And sometimes it's hard to break that programming. So how do you get in the mode of first allowing yourself to make choices and make choices that are not up instead of down, and being okay with that? And second, how do you kind of let go of that modeling in your brain that keeps you stuck in not making a choice?
I love the question. I'm so excited about it. I hope I don't get tongue-tied. First of all, the just two choices, and I emphasize to people the word just in front of two. It's not that there are two choices. Two choices makes it amorphous. So when you say just two choices, it brings the precision into. It's not like, because if you say zeros and ones, well, what does that mean? But you say just zero and just one, which are you going to choose? So the just two choices approach is a visual approach. Again, if you can go to justtwochoices.com/radio and get the free download, and you'll see what every choice looks like for everything you're going to do in your life, everything in every moment, from tying your shoes to painting the ceiling. It doesn't matter. To mowing your lawn. It's all just two choices. Or you can use your hand and, the peace sign, and turn it sideways, and as a reference. So with that model in mind, it's the shift takes place that your energy goes, you direct where your energy is going to go. And that's why the phrase "I choose to" is so powerful. Because when you say, I choose to go back, I grew up in an alcoholic family. I did. I choose to go back to what happened in the household when I was growing up. I choose to. Well, no, I don't want to choose to go back into that. I've got to make another choice, right? And it's always that first choice. It has to start somewhere. And so you might be going back into your old family system poo-poo stuff 100 times a day at first. And then you get it down to 80 times a day. And then you get it down to less than that. And now you get down to, I don't even think about it. In fact, I've created a whole new habit, because the beauty of just two choices is when you send energy in a direction, you at the same time, you get double benefit, because you cut off the energy to the other one. And what happens when you don't water a plant? What happens when you don't water a plant? It dies, right? You're not giving it any energy. You're not feeding it. And so that's why the visual diagram and the phrase "I choose to," for me, are going to get you there. And again, people are going to go, "Oh, it sounds kind of simplistic. It sounds Pollyanna. It sounds unrealistic." And I'll say, "Okay, then we're going to talk about this next week, and we're going to talk about this next year." And you're going to say, "Oh my gosh, I spent a whole year. I'm still frustrated with this." And you go, "That's because you're choosing to be frustrated with this. It's your choice." And then it goes back to your comment earlier, which comes back to, I've got to own that energy. I've got to own where that energy flows. But there's double benefit. That could be something that's helpful. When I energize what I want, I de-energize what I don't want.
Right.
And it goes away. It has to go away. So thanks for letting me expound on that one.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about energy. I talk a lot about energy on the show, and that where you focus your energy is where it directs the course of where you're going. And it attracts more of that energy.
It does. And notice, here's something else that that this whole new choice era is going to bring. Notice if we would have used the word "where I choose to focus my energy." See, when we say I focus my energy, I don't really have ownership of it, do I? I focus my energy. Go focus your energy on something positive. No. I want you to say, I choose to focus my energy on something. No, I don't want to focus on something positive. You can't make me choose on something positive. I know I can't, because you're the only one who can energize that. And if any of us, and I speak from my own life experience, I'm not judging anybody because I've had to work through it too with my situation. I choose to be frustrated. I choose to be upset. One of the fun ones that I broke, I don't use the word habit, break a habit. I just say start a new habit. Just two choices. Because when you energize one, you de-energize the other. So I had a habit of getting frustrated with people cutting me off in traffic. I never did any bad hand gestures. I did say a lot of choice words. I did hit the steering wheel. And one day I finally said, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of doing this. And some people say, I can't let go of my road response. And I used to say that too. But then I go, I've got just two choices. And so whenever it happened, I catch myself, and now I kind of sometimes that's about all you get out of it. You go, oh, that was close. And I used to want to drive up next to the person sometimes and cut across 4 lanes and almost cause an accident and stare at them. You almost want to do that. And now it's like, I choose to feel good. I choose to feel happy. I'm still driving, no accident, everything's fine. I'm not going to ruin my day because someone cut across 4 lanes of traffic in front of me. But it's a choice. And I had to say to myself, and be candid, I choose to be upset about this. I choose to be upset about it. It's me who's making a choice. That person's not making me angry. I'm choosing to be angry as a response. From wherever I learned that, I don't know. To have that kind of response, a lot of it is, you have that momentum with the way things happen in society. So it's just something that I just have fun with it every day, just two choices. So
that is so good, though. The choose part is so good because it really puts the responsibility back onto you making that choice. And I think a lot of times it's much easier to go, oh, they made me, or it was my parents' fault because of, or whatever, instead of I'm choosing right now I get to choose, and this is what I'm choosing. And that is really a powerful, those simple little words just really metamorphosize that mindset shift, which is really what we need to have. So,
and you have just two choices. You can say I choose to, or you say, that's too Pollyanna, I'm not going to say it. And so I think if you were to just write down the phrase I choose to, and throughout your day say, I choose to get in the car. I choose to smile at this person coming out of the post office. I choose to, by the end of the day, even if you do it only 10 times, your awareness is going to be skyrocketing. That's why I say we live in the choice era now. Because there is such a foundation that's been laid by take positive action and those kinds of things, and energy flow, with being able to talk about energy flow and those kinds of things. With that foundation being made, now you need to know where the switch is. The switch is in your choice. And that's why it's been seamless, and it's been kind of like a gift from God. I was in first grade. I remember the moment. I was in first grade, and I went to Catholic school. And this nun said to me, I said to the sister, I went, Sister, why doesn't God tell us when we're going to die? I don't know why I asked the question. It just popped into my head. And believe me, I'm not an academic ace on anything. It's just a question. And she looked down at me and she said, it's a blessing that he doesn't tell you, when you're going to die. And I remember standing there confused. But the parallel that this story makes is that no one's told us that choice is the fabric of our lives. It's seamless. Death is a seamless part of life. To a degree. Seamless meaning you have no idea how or when it's going to happen. It could be a surprise. It may not be a surprise, depending on the conditions. But with that being said, we've had this situation in our lives. Humanity for eons, for millennia, has had this situation of not being aware that everything's binary, that it's a choice of where you focus to put your attention, where you choose to focus to put your attention. And that's what I'm trying to bring to people's awareness with Just Two Choices and liberate. I'm liberating myself by saying, well, I don't have to choose to be afraid to fly anymore. Why don't I? Or I can choose to say, I don't choose. And when I say anymore, I'm talking about being a kid. You can say to yourself, I choose to want to fly airplanes. Yeah, I choose to feel the fear I have. I choose to do it anyway. Or you can say, you know what? I choose to think that flying is fun, but I choose to be an artist, or I choose to be a car mechanic. And then just let it go, because it's a choice. And so the freedom is being able to say, I choose to be afraid right now. They're scared of going on this roller coaster, but you know what? I choose to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Now you own that choice. Not you, any of us do.
Yes,
myself too.
Exactly. So good. You've given us so much to think about. So I always would like to give my audience the opportunity to reach out to you for, additional training or information. So what's the best way to connect with you?
Just email me at rico@justtwochoices.com, RICO, and at justtwochoices.com. And I'd be honored to answer any questions or help you out with however I could help things out.
Great. And you can also learn more just by going to the website, justtwochoices.com. And all of that is going to be linked up in the show notes at elisaconnor.com/96. This is episode 96. So...
Can I add one last quick thing?
Yes, please do. I was just going to say, do you have anything final that you want to add and leave us with?
Well, thank you. The thought that crosses my mind, as you mentioned, if you go to justtwochoices.com/radio for the free download, I call it Captain Hook Ya, because basically this whole session that we've been talking about, in a lot of ways has been, what do you choose when you put your hand up, and you turn it 90 degrees? What hooks you? What do you choose to allow to hook you? Is it road drama? Is it frustration? Is it overwhelm? Is it some kind of a response that goes on because of something that's going on within your family, or a brother or a sister or an aunt or an uncle? What are those things that hook you? And that's why the download that you'll see, the free download that you'll see, has Captain Hook You down in the choice 2 direction, because that's where your attention's going every time you get hooked. And the only way you're going to find yourself getting unhooked with Captain Hook Ya is to put your attention on what you want to achieve, the great things, the happiness, the joy, the excitement. You can't have a happy ending to a sad story without choosing to have a happy ending. So
that's so good. I love it. Well, I really appreciate you being here today and sharing all of your wisdom and your insights with my audience. And I'm sure that some of them will reach out to you and try to connect. So again, you can find Rico at justtwochoices.com. And thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Lisa. Blessings to you. God bless y'all. Thank you.
Too. So I'm going to pause the recording really quick so let me pop over here really quick and stop this. That was the wrong one. If you're struggling with what to say, who to say it to, and where to say it, you may need my new Ideal Client Worksheet. The Ideal Client Worksheet helps you discover the important questions that you need to ask when it comes to finding your clients. It will help you understand them, understand their problems, so that you connect with them, attract them, turn them into leads, and convert them into customers. So go grab your copy today at elisaconnor.com/ideal client.